Welcome, everybody, to the Winter City Council meeting for Tuesday, February 21st, 2023. The City of Winter will implement roll call.
Councilman Burns is absent. Councilman Clay?
Here.
Councilman Hockett?
Here.
Councilman Klunt?
Here.
Councilman Schramm?
Here.
Councilman Sprinkle?
Here. If you'd all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council, having had time to review this packet, are there any conflict of interest this evening? Hearing seen none, Chair will move on to this evening's consent agenda. If you'd like, yes. Having had time to review your packet, Council, is there a motion on this evening's consent agenda?
I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that motion.
Councilman Clay has made a motion to approve the consent agenda. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Hockett. Floor is open to comment or question, Council. Hearing none, Chair will call the question. All those in favor of approving this evening's consent agenda, would you please say aye?
Aye.
All opposed, would you please say nay? The ayes have it, and this motion passes unanimously 5-0. Council, having had time to review your packets for this evening, is there a motion on the regular agenda? And I will let you know that items 3 and 4 will be removed from this agenda as our scheduled guest will not be here for recognition of visitors 4 and 5 either. That will be rescheduled to a later council date.
3, 4, and 5 then?
To clarify, 4 and 5 under your recognition of visitors, Councilman Schramm,
Thank you.
and 3 and 4 under the new business.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to request that we add an additional item titled Committee Meetings.
I'm not going to put that on.
May I ask why?
We haven't had 72 hours or 24 hours to publish that. Our council committee schedule will come out in May, and we'll address it at that time.
In the first place, Mr. Mayor, if the council votes to add an agenda item, it can be added and acted on.
Yeah, this is not an actionable item. It's a discussion item. It's not public policy. It's not appropriations, and it's not oversight. We'll have this discussion outside this chamber. Council, is there a motion on the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with removing 4 and 5 under recognition of visitors, communication, and 3 and 4 under new business.
Is there a second to this motion?
I'll second that.
Councilman Hockett has made a motion to approve the agenda with removal of recognition of visitors 4 and 5, and under new business items 3 and 4. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Sprinkle. Floor is open to comments or questions. Hearing none, Chair calls the question. All those in favor of approving this agenda with items 4 and 5 removed from recognition of visitors and items 3 and 4 under new business, would you please say aye?
Aye.
All opposed, would you please say nay? The ayes have it, and this motion passes unanimously, 5-0. This time, the City of Winter will move on to recognition of visitors. As with all city council meetings, we have a 10-minute window for the general public to address the Winter City Council. Is there any public input tonight? Seeing no public input, City of Winter will move on to first communications. Finance Officer Phillips, would you report on the fuel bids, please?
Fuel bids for February 1st. There were only 2 bidders. Ball and Oil bid on number 2 diesel, number 1 diesel, 50/50 fuel, regular unleaded and fuel oil, and was awarded those bids. And CHS bid on propane. February 8th, fuel bids. CHS was the only bidder for number 2 diesel, number 1 diesel, 50/50 fuel, regular unleaded and fuel oil, and was awarded those bids. And propane was bid only by CHS, and they were awarded that bid as well.
At this time, we'll move on to our first scheduled guest. Tonight, the Trip County Library, Misty Burns, the director, is here.
Really couldn't do what we do truly without the support that we receive from the City of Winter. We meet those emotional, educational, and recreational needs of the community, and we serve to reach all ages and all stages. So we're kind of a unique entity in that we have a lot of different hats that we have to wear to meet those needs, but I know I can get really wordy because there's so many different things that I want to share, and I'm very passionate about what we do, but I really do try to respect your time, and so forgive me if I get a little wordy, but I promise I'll try to be to the point. So looking at our early learners, it's so key, to build those little minds, and we have programs at the library that if we have our patrons coming in, we can let them know about these things, like Miss Humblebee's Academy database, and get them set up on that, or Bright Light Text on their phones. These are things that people can know about if they come in, and little by little we can try to advertise, but there's so many different resources that we offer. Once a patron would come in, we can tell them about it. So that's something that is good for you to be aware of. We always offer the story time by Sharon. She does a fantastic job. We bring people in from the community that support us in that regard, and she's been fantastic. But new things that we've added, we are just now in the process of getting started at 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program, which is very successful in other libraries in building that literacy at such an early developmental stage, getting parents to read to their children. And so these are programs that we can get going, and it doesn't have to be necessarily very expensive. We may be able to do something as simple as prizing them with a book at certain levels, giving them a sticker, taking their pictures. But I think it's important just to have that early learning excitement and to build those parents and to encourage them with that development. The next segment we get into is that kindergarten through 5th grade, and that's that school level. A big part of what we do with that is we focus on the summer reading program, and so that is a big part of what we do at the library, honestly, really focusing in on what programs can we bring in, what can we do to keep these kids wanting to learn, keeping them curious, keeping them excited. And so we do things like, we did a new program, Girls Who Code, that we designed for those 4th grade girls to get them comfortable with coding and computer programming and things that maybe they may not be as comfortable with, because there is such a strong demand for that in the future. That went over very well, packed the house, we got a computer lab to be able to do that, so that was a good program. Lego Time has been continuing to be a very, very successful program. We pack that, we fill that. It builds those, when you hear STEAM skills, which is the science, technology, engineering, art, math, that kind of thing, that's so important. And so we really hone in on that in the summer. And then it varies a little bit what we do with the different programs. Like this last summer, we asked Dylan Bates to come in and do Critter Crate from the Fish and Parks. He did a fantastic job. He sends the kids home with kits and they're excited. It's just offering these different types of activities and changing it up in the summer. And then of course we offer them a magic show that we bring in over at the Community Playhouse. I think it's really important that we bring in these other venues in our community and be that glue that shows we support one another. And so that's what we did. And then also like the movie party at the end of the year, we were able to do that at the Winter Fix Theater. And those kids that did successfully complete the program did get in at no charge to them. We were able to pay, that discounted fee. But again, it's promoting that theater. It was a lot of fun. They get rewarded with these prizes, and I think that having those prizes and having these programs is what keeps these kids excited and recognizes them for those achievements and keeps them going until we get up into the summer or back into the school year. One thing that we did new this year too that was successful and a lot of fun is we had them do a Christmas bookmark contest at the schools, and we said we would select one winner, kindergarten through 5th, so that was a lot of fun, and one winner was selected from each grade, and they each received a fun prize package, and then all the bookmark entries were put on the tree then at the courthouse during the Christmas at the courthouse that we do. So I think it's just another way to be a part of the community and build that excitement. And then, of course, we have our teen advisory board. We just started that this year because that was an area that we needed to build on, and we have over 20 teens sign up to be a part of that. It's varied. We've had everything from, hey, let's talk about what kind of books you're reading, what do you want to see in the library. We listen to them, we get those books. We, last week, just had a counselor from Southern Plains Behavioral come in and talk to them about stress management and anxiety and what does that look like. And now next month they want to talk about culinary skills because we have a patron who is a culinary chef. So through connecting and talking and having conversations, we can bring these kinds of things into the library. But it's exciting because 2 of these teens are now doing an art mural project down in our Storytime area, and it is just awesome. I can't wait to do a write-up on it and submit it to Dan in the paper and just show what kind of talent we have in the community, and it's just neat that they're bringing that to the library, and I think it shows that they care about the library. But they've had some really neat ideas of things they want to do, write stories and read to the kids in the elementary school. But again, I could keep going on and trying to just highlight these different areas that we're doing, and then we finally get into the adults. You know, we stick with the One Book South Dakota, that's kind of a staple, the history talks. We deliver books to shut-ins. We get people that, they're shut in at home and they want to read, and that's their life, that's their connection to the world. So we do what we can with that. People come in and need help with job applications, and we have the computer lab to do that. Or we're seeing the rise in test proctoring now that there's more online programs with these colleges. Now these students don't have to travel so far. They can do it right there, and we have the ability to help them with that. We're starting up some fun things like book bingo and a book chat where people can come in and talk about the books that they're reading and sharing that, and I think that we've seen great success with that and what little time we've gotten that going. And of course, if you see the parking lot completely packed, we're having a meeting room being used over there. So that has been another facility that's, or another part of the library that's been a true asset. And then another thing that might be very exciting to a lot of you is the new State Parks Pass program. We have 2 passes that we can check out at the library. They just need a card. And we can get that checked out to them for 3 days to any state park in South Dakota. It's kind of a trial thing that we're going to be doing, and it's good through May of 2024. And so it's exciting when these opportunities pop up that we can offer that, and it doesn't cover camping, but it's a way to get new people in the doors. Daryl Bachman was even asking me about it. He said, "Are we doing something like that?" I said, "Send them our way." Yes, we are. So there's just a lot of little gaps that the library fills in our community. And we want to continue to be able to operate our library the best that we can, and we truly couldn't do it without the support that you give us. So we appreciate that and respectfully request, the $12,500 to be able to continue to serve at that capacity. And thank you sincerely.
At this time, I'll move to suspend the rules and move to new business, item number 2. Council, is there a motion on item number 2 under new business?
I'll make a motion to approve the donation request of $12,500 to the Tripp County Library.
Is there a second to this motion?
I'll second that.
Councilman Klunt has made a motion to approve the request of $12,500 to Tripp County Library. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Sprinkle. The floor is open to comments or questions.
This is what we budgeted, correct?
You are correct.
Yep. Okay.
I'd just like to say thank you for your work.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Same note. We work hard.
Yep, I know.
Hearing no further comments or questions, Chair will call the question by a roll call vote. Councilman Klunt,
Yes.
Councilman Hockett,
Aye.
Councilman Sprinkle,
Yes.
Councilman Burns. Absent, I'm sorry, Councilman Clay,
Yes.
and Councilman Schramm. The ayes have it, this motion will pass unanimously 5-0. At this time, Chair will move to suspend the rules and move back to recognition of visitors. That does conclude recognition of visitors, with 4 and 5 being removed. City of Winter will now move on to department reports. Tonight's first department report of 2 is going to come from Public Safety Commissioner Justin Day.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We will go ahead and start this evening with the Winter Communications Center. Over the month of December, we had over 1,700 incidents entered into CAD, and I believe that just forgot to get changed to January. December was a lot more than that with the first storm. So these are going to be January's numbers. Over 1,700, 758 were 911, and a little over 4,200 were administrative calls. As far as what's going on with staff, Melissa Nelson Cook will be coming off probation. The next 2.5 pages are going to be the call log that the Winter Police Department was dispatched to and were involved in within our community. Then moving over to the Winter Police Department logs, the PD participated in having coffee with cops again on January 31st. That again, CCI invites the police department to come down there, and we have coffee with the participants and just kind of hang out there for 15, 20 minutes, and that's pretty well received by everyone involved in that. Feeding South Dakota was held on February 3rd. That was at the fairgrounds again. Very well attended yet again. And I believe the reason that they had such a short turnaround was to get back on schedule. With all the storms in January, it kept getting postponed. So there was quite a short turnaround time for that, but it was still very well attended yet again. So 3 applicants. This was kind of going over last meeting. You as a council accepted the 3 positions that were offered for part-time officers. That was Officer Jeremy Atkins, Officer Adam Bossert, and Officer Kyle Swedlin. They came back on part-time with the PD. And then 2 full-time patrol officer positions were offered and accepted. One officer, Brian Remmers, he started last Monday. Then the other one, he needs to finish up a few things at his current employer, and then so hopefully he will be starting with us next week. And his name is Joshua Jordan. Both will be starting at starting wage. Both will be on 6-month probation and have full benefits. And then to finish up, officers have been spending time at all the schools, just kind of interacting with the students at various times during the day, really kind of pushing forward that community-oriented policing model. I think I may be a little much for some of the high schoolers at 7:30 on a Monday morning, but because they kind of start walking in like little zombies, but they usually have a smile on their face once they get in there. So we've been up there doing that quite a bit over the last couple weeks, various officers walking through. Corrections are today's numbers and averages. Today, we have 166 incarcerated. We are averaging 165 for the month, and we are averaging 166 for the year. In January, there was 185 new inmates, and then release of 174. As far as billing goes, this is kind of the breakdown here. If you look on the financial statement, it shows $430,841.05 in revenue with $371,975.37 in expenditures, which gives us a balance of $1,758,860.57. 24/7 program continues to be going strong with 25 participants, 15 on PBTs, 3 on UAs, 4 on the Scram, and then we have 4 that are doing UAs from other counties. The Direct Technologies project has started. They are moving quite rapidly through there, getting cameras changed out, and they're working very well with our staff as far as getting all the needs met to get everything done. The jail food contract bid opening was today at 1 o'clock. We do have a new part-time employee, Chantel Brill. She will be starting in corrections, or I guess she has started. She will be at starting wage. She will be on 6-month probation with no benefits. Employee Chanel Herman came off of 6-month probation, and then medical supervisor Rehack last Friday put on a CPR training for correctional staff. So he's trying to start that process again to get as many through there as he can. He is limited in numbers that he can have, so that's why they continue to work through kind of a rolling schedule when it works for him to put that on. And that's kind of all I have. Do you have questions or comments? Okay, I think Chelsea has one thing that she needs to add, if that's all right with, all right. Thank you.
Good evening, council. Just per city ordinance, I need to update you guys on some happenings in my department. This is in reference to 667 West 6th Street, the former preschool that was a church that's owned by Randy and Tony Donovan. They have requested a conditional use for that property to be a farmer's market and vendor fair. Current zoning does not list that as a classified use at all. So they were at our meeting on January 9th, our planning and zoning meeting on January 9th. The direction from there was that they needed to take it to the ordinance committee to get a farmer's market or vendor fair added as either a conditional use or a permitted use, and then we would move forward with their application from there. That did not happen, to my understanding, and they have held 2 more vendor fairs, one dated January 14th and one February 11th. And they are actually advertising, or were actually advertising for a 3rd one in March. So they were sent a notice of violation in certified mail. This letter was reviewed by Attorney Jensen before we sent it, and they have received it. They were in my office this morning asking some questions, but that's just, I have to update you guys on that process and just make sure that you're aware of what's going on with that. So that is the update that I have right now. They are aware that they're not to continue to use that property until either the ordinance is changed and it's pushed through committee or we find another avenue.
And that is the next step then for them?
I guess I'm not sure what you mean.
To take it to the ordinance
Yes,
committee?
yep, yes.
That'd be their
So,
next step.
so what my committee suggested we do is take it to the ordinance committee to see if the ordinance committee would even consider adding a farmer's market or a vendor fair to a residential 2 zone, the 2-family residential. And then from there, basically, it's the same application that they've provided us so far, but we will resubmit it to our planning and zoning committee for consideration.
Council, any other questions?
Can we address this? Can we speak to her about this?
You can ask questions.
Yes.
Oh,
So is the reasoning they can't is because they're charging for stuff?
It's zone
Maybe I
residential.
can,
I don't know.
yeah, maybe I can jump in here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The reason they can't is because the current ordinance does not provide for that particular type of permitted use.
Because it's residence, right?
It's a
Not
residential,
commercial.
it's a residential area,
Yeah.
and it does not provide even as a conditional use for that particular one. So in order to permit that to happen, it would have to go through ordinance, and the council would end up having to agree to modify the ordinance to put that in as another potential conditional use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they willing to take it to the ordinance committee? Is there a holdup, means it hasn't been done yet, or the fact that the ordinance committee has not met yet?
So in January, they were given both Jeremy and Brad's phone numbers to speak with them in order to present this to the ordinance committee. I talked with Paul a little bit about it, just to give him a heads up that this may be coming up. But to my understanding, neither Jeremy or Brad were contacted by them to start this.
I've heard from a few people on it, against it, and, oh yes, neighbors, planning and zoning commission members. I'm a do not pass. It's residential.
Mr. Jensen, if you would, for the public's knowledge, prior to the building becoming vacant, it was a preschool.
It was.
And would you address why the preschool was allowed in an R2 zone?
In an R2 zone, one of the things that is a permitted use is a school. And so that being on the list of things that are permitted use within the residential area, just like a church is also a permitted use.
Or a daycare, is that correct?
I would have to look on
That
that
fall
particular
under
one,
that.
but I think that's true.
I think. it is.
Daycares are a permitted accessory
Yes.
use.
Yep.
I thought that was right, yeah.
But don't the daycares have limits on how many residents they can, or
They
attendees
still
they
have
can
to apply
have?
for a variance for conditional use, correct?
Not,
We did.
I think it's based on state
for
regulation.
the daycare, that's a permitted accessory use. Conditional uses are what they are required to fill out the application with my department.
Any other comments or questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Our next scheduled report tonight is from our finance officer, Chandra Phillips.
So first of all, I'd like to say just a thank you to the community and to mayor and council for putting up with me while I was gone. Well, you didn't have to put up with me, I was gone, but just for being patient while I'm trying to catch up. I am technically still on part-time work while I'm recovering. Don't ask me how that went today, but it's still healing. One more surgery to go in April, but then hope to be back to normal and never have to have surgery again. That'd be great. But thank you for your patience. With that, there are quite a few things going on in the office. One thing I was notified of today is that the City of Winter issued approximately $9,000 in bonuses with our payroll today. What that is the 6-month bonus of $500 after you've been here and get off 6-month probation, and then the annual bonus of $500 once you've been here for a full year. It also included, I believe, 3 moving bonuses, which is $1,500. So we had 3 individuals who moved to city limits after they were hired, so they got an additional $1,500 for that. So the bonuses are a good thing. They are working. I believe lately we've had a bonus almost every single payroll, just with the 6-month and the annual. So that's been really good, I believe, to getting employees in and applying and filling some roles for us. Encode 10 update, we are officially live with utility billing. The only thing we have left on Encode 10 is to do our accounts receivable, which is our miscellaneous billing. You'll see that we're doing a lot more miscellaneous billing when you look at our financial statements. Our assets in the middle show negative and positives. It's because we've billed them out, haven't received them, or they were billed out a previous month and then we actually receipted the cash for them. So that line is getting a lot bigger each month as we continue to utilize that. As Justin said, they've billed out $414,000 in 1 month just between prisoner care and transport. That actually gets put into our system each month. As well as quite a few other things we're able to put in there now. Our annual billing for our airport, our streets when Chris Mays provides repairs and maintenance to other departments, then we build that out and those departments pay them back then into the streets. The second portion of our new update is ExecuTime. That is our new clock-in system. So you'll see those start to go up in all of our areas. We ordered this 2 years ago, and we're just going live with it. And we received bioreaders from Encode that communicate directly with our Encode 10. So each employee will get 3 fingerprints put into this. In case you lose a thumb, you have another way to clock in, so don't be worried about that. So we'll be going live with that. Our first training is April 18th. We will have all department heads, foremans, assistants, and I believe lieutenants will be part of that, as well as we are going to choose between 10 to 15 employees throughout the entire city that are going to be used as a secondary, well, they're going to be, how I want to say this isn't correct. They're going to be our dummies. I can't think of any other way to say it. So they're going to be doing dual clock-ins. They're going to clock in the way we're currently doing it, plus they're going to use the new system. So there are going to be some changes that we're going to be seeing as we go live with that approximately April 1st, and we're going to start preparing all of our department heads for that tomorrow with our monthly training. One of the things is right now, when an employee clocks in and it's 7 minutes after, it actually rolls up and they get a full 15 minutes even though they only worked 7 minutes. We have some employees who have figured that system out and they're really good at it. So now they will be getting paid minute for minute. So if you're clocking out 6 minutes after, 7 minutes after, you're only going to get that 6-7 minutes. Holiday pay will be a lot easier. It won't be left up to human interpretation. It will be a formula that will be put in there and it will be spelled out by definition. Same with time differential pay or shift pay as we're currently calling it. All of those things are going to be changed so that it's the same across the board. We'll be able to set it up so each individual department has their own rules. For instance, right now, your union contract states that if they work after 3:30 p.m., then it's automatic time and a half after that. So we'll have it set up in there. If a clock-in happens after that time, it's automatic time and a half, and then we don't have to forget. Sometimes those things happen. You are going through all the time cards, and you forget that you've suddenly moved on from corrections into the electric company, and so then you've got to remember that there's different time frames for each of them. We're very excited for it. We are going to do 3 separate dummy trials, so I'm going to call this a dummy too. Guinea pig, thank you. That's a much nicer word. 3 separate dual test groups, whatever you want to call them, except what I called them, would be great. So that is simply so that we can make sure that how we are doing things matches up with what we want in the new system. So there'll be a lot of things coming down the pike with that. While we're training on that, we're also training on our new electric meter system. We have a guy coming from Minnesota, and he will be doing training 8 a.m. till 3:30 p.m. March 7th, 8th, and 9th. That will include Brandy and myself from my office, and then all of the electric department and Troy as well. And that'll be on the Command Center. What Command Center is very similar to what our Omni Pro is right now. Understand that this is my layman term of understanding it, because what we will do in Command Center is very different than what the electric department will do, but we will all be in this training. This will give our office the opportunity to do all, once all the new meters are in, we will actually be able to do all shut-offs from our office, not have to call our guys out to go shut off, whether a customer asks for it or due to non-payment. It'll also give us the opportunity with the new meters to review time of use. So we can actually, if someone calls in and says, hey, when am I using all my electricity? There's no way I've used this much electricity. It wasn't that cold in December, which for the record, it was very cold in December. Your bills were high. This gives us the opportunity to tell them what time of day they were using it. So we're also excited about that. Meantime, we've been doing a review of all of our personnel policies and our financial policies, and those are going out to you guys. We started in finance today. We'll continue to move forward with those in each individual committee as well. HR has been busy doing quarterly evals and trainings, and then actually Rhonda is going to be gone. She's going on vacation, providing she can get out of here, weather permitting, from February 24th to March 3rd, so I'll be the HR department head for while she is gone. Election, so we had 3 open positions. Ward 3, Brad Schramm, Ward 2, Jeremy Clay, Ward 1, Jack Burns. I have had 3 submissions, 1 from each ward. Brad Schramm has submitted his, Jeremy Clay has submitted his, and Chase Frank has submitted for Ward 1. At this point in time, that's the only ones I'm aware that are out there. So they have until 5 p.m. Friday to turn them in. We did verify with the state with the weather coming in if there's any exceptions to that. The state does not allow for any exceptions. So if somebody has a petition out there, they need to get it turned in by 5 o'clock Friday, call me. I will make sure that I am available to notarize it for them so that we meet the standards. Might have to have a plow truck come pick me up, but we'll make sure it happens. And then finally, a project that we're working on, the mayor has been gracious enough to work with me to get a green screen, is that what we're calling it? Where I'll be going in front of the camera to discuss several things that have been questioned about the finance office and utility bills. Nothing major, but with the Encode 10 upgrade, you probably noticed your last bill looked different. I love the way they look because I think it spells it out clearer. There's bold, there's not bold, but people are struggling to read them now. So we're going to go through line by line the utility bills and post it online. We're also going to talk about the fact that be prepared for phone calls because your new utility rates go into effect on the next bill. So we're going to talk about how that's going to affect the next bills and going forward with that. We had a lot of phone calls come into the office for December's bills. December's readings, which came out last month, that's what you've been paying on is December's readings. Because we're 2 months behind, a lot of times people forget that it's 2 months behind. Last month didn't seem so cold. Why am I paying so much for my utilities? So we have to do a lot of education with customers as they call in. And we're one of the very, very few cities in South Dakota that has more than just electric or water on a bill. You have electric, you have water, you have sewer, you have sanitation, you've got fees on there. So it's really hard to compare unless you're comparing apples to apples and fees to fees. So we'll go through that too. We're also going to go through the rules. So one of the rules that gets questioned is your ordinance states 9 a.m. on shut-off day. If we have not spoke to you, and my office is very willing to work with people, But if we have not spoke to you before 9 a.m., you will be issued a disconnect order, and you will be issued the $50 disconnect at that time. So if you need help with a bill, we will work with you. You just have to communicate with us. And then the new meters that are going in, the electric meters, and how that's going to affect people. They're going to start installing those as soon as we get through this command center training and Encode gets the interface ready for them to read over for us. So the electric side of things won't affect people too much, but it has the potential to affect somebody as they go in and disconnect a gateway or reconnect one meter to the next, so. If anybody wants to learn anything and do some training just for kicks and giggles, come on over, because we're doing lots of it for the next few months. Assuming you're done, sorry.
Thank you, Chandra. That will conclude our scheduled department reports for this evening. City of Winter will move on to bid openings. City of Winter this afternoon at 1 p.m. had bid openings for 5 different services. We'll go through each of these in the recommendations without reading the bids in detail. Those bids are available in the city finance office if anybody would like to take a look at those. For the corrections food service, today we had a bid opening. There were 3 bids submitted to the Winter Correctional Facility. As of this afternoon's bid opening, there was no recommendation from Public Safety Commissioner Day or Jail Administrator Kalinda at this time. I believe the recommendation was to table and take through committee next Thursday. For curb and gutter, the City of Winter received 2 bids. The first bid was from, on the corrections bids, the bids were received from Dakota Food Service, Trinity Services Group Incorporated, and Summit Foods. Moving on to the curb and gutter bid, there were 2 bids received by the City of Winter, one from Rosebud Concrete and one from Bachman Construction. It is the recommendation of Public Works Director Kruger and Street Supervisor Duffy to award the bid to Bachman Construction. The City of Winter had a mill and overlaid bid that was released. 1 bid was received. It was from Bituminous Paving, and it was the recommendation of Public Works Director Kruger and Street Supervisor Duffy to award the bid to Bituminous. The City of Winter issued a bid for miscellaneous concrete. 2 bids were received, one from Rosebud Concrete and one from Bachman Construction. And it was the recommendation of Public Works Director Kruger and Street Supervisor Duffy to award the bid to Bachman Construction. The final bid that was put out was for sewer relining. The City of Winter received no bids from any contractors, so it is the recommendation of Public Works Director Kruger and actually, it would be Water and Sewer Supervisor Liebrecht to follow the South Dakota Code of Law, which states if after advertising for bids, no firm bids are received, the purchasing agency may negotiate a contract for the purchase of these supplies, services, or public improvement projects at the most advantageous price if the specifications of the original bid are met. That is SDCL 5-188-5, subsection 9. And that was your bid openings for the City of Winter this afternoon at 1 p.m. City of Winter has no public hearings for this evening, nor will there be a Board of Adjustments for this evening. City of Winter will now move to old business, and there's one item for consideration. Council, having had time to review your packets, is there a motion on item number 1 under old business?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to place on second reading for passage approval of ordinance 1048, a supplemental appropriation 2023 budget wastewater sewer funds.
Is there a second to this
I
motion?
Second that, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Clay has made the motion to place on second reading for passage and approval ordinance 1048, a supplemental appropriation 2023 budget for the water and sewer funds. Councilman Schramm has seconded this motion. The floor is open to comments or questions. Hearing none, Chair will call the question by a roll call vote. Councilman Hockett,
Aye.
Councilman Sprinkle,
Yes.
Councilman Clay,
Yes.
Councilman Schramm,
Aye.
and Councilman Clunt.
Yes.
The ayes have it, and this motion will pass unanimously 5-0. That concludes old business. City of Winter will now move on to new business. There will be 12 items considered under new business with removals of items 3 and 4 from the agenda. Item number 1, council, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we list the active fire department roster in the minutes for the workman's comp compliance.
Is there a second to this motion?
Second.
Councilman Sprinkle has made a motion to list the active fire department roster in the minutes for workman's comp compliance. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Hockett. Floor is open to comments, questions.
Mr. Mayor and Council, so the purpose of this is it's a requirement in our contract with South Dakota Workman's Comp, and I apologize that it's listed under ordinance and admin policy. I should have reviewed that before I posted this agenda, but ultimately it's a requirement of our contract. There are only 29 listed there, you'll see. Typically there are 30, but it's my understanding the firemen have not issued who their 30th person will be. When that happens, at that time, then we'll ask that you list that person in there too. Otherwise, if something happens while they're fighting a fire, they are not covered under our workman's comp.
They're not covered under the county.
No, they are not. Not on a city fire, but then
Put the
our
retired ones
workman's,
on there
yeah.
too, would you?
Sometimes I wonder, since Winter is in the county, if we're paying, the county's paying for insurance and we are.
We have a really good deal with Tripp County. I would recommend we not even address any changes.
Thank you.
We are.
Right. Yeah. I don't believe that the firemen are listed under the Tripp County's workman's comp. I think I've checked into that once before, and even if you're hurt outside of City of Winter,
We cover.
you're gonna be covered under workman's comp because you're listed as a volunteer under the City of Winter. As long as you're working, doing that business.
Yes, somewhere, I've seen it. It's in here.
It's a very, very small list at the very
Somewhere.
top of the page.
Yeah.
I came across it earlier, I can't tell you where to find it now.
Any other comments or questions, council? Hearing none, Chair will call the question. All those in
Here it is.
favor of listing the active fire department roster in the minutes for workman's comp compliance, would you please say aye?
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it, and this motion will pass unanimously 5-0. Item 2 has been acted on. City of Winter will move to item number 5 under new business.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2023 union contract as presented.
Is there a second to this motion?
I'll second that.
Councilman Clunt has made the motion to approve the 2023 union contract as presented to the City of Winter. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Schramm. Floor is open to comments or questions.
Mayor and council, the only changes from 2022 to 2023 would include what your CPI rate of pay is for each individual listed on that union contract, and then also the policy that you passed as to what on-call pay is. Those are the only two changes listed to the contract.
That's it. I thought they were asking for more.
That is what we
What
agreed
settled
upon.
that.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, council? Hearing none, Chair will call the question by a roll call vote. Councilman Sprinkle,
Yes.
Councilman Clay,
Yes.
Councilman Schramm,
Aye.
Councilman Clunt,
Yes.
and Councilman Hockett.
Aye.
The ayes have it, and this motion will carry unanimously, 5-0. Item number 6, council. Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to award the miscellaneous concrete bid to Daryl Bachman Construction.
Second.
Councilman Clay has made the motion to award the miscellaneous concrete bid to Bachman Construction. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Schramm. Floor is open to comments or questions, council. Hearing none, Chair will call the question by a roll call vote. Councilman Clay,
Yes.
Councilman Schramm,
Aye.
Councilman Clunt,
Yes.
Councilman Hockett,
Aye.
and Councilman Sprinkle.
Yes.
The ayes have it, and this motion will pass unanimously, 5-0. Item 7, council, is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, then again, I'd make a motion to award the curb and gutter bid, following the recommendation, to Bachman Construction.
I'll second that.
Councilman Clay has made a motion to award the curb and gutter bid to Bachman Construction. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Sprinkle. The floor is open to comments or questions, council. Hearing none, Chair will call the question by a roll call vote. Councilman Clay,
Yes.
Councilman Schramm,
Aye.
Councilman Clunt,
Yes.
Councilman Hockett,
Aye.
and Councilman Sprinkle.
Yes.
The ayes have it, and this motion will carry unanimously 5-0. Item 8, council, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to award the mill and overlay bid to Bituminous, the only bidder for this section.
Is there a second to this motion?
I'll second it.
Councilman Hockett has made a motion to award the bid for the mill and overlay bid, or excuse me, to award the mill and overlay bid to Bituminous Paving. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Clay. The floor is open to comments or questions.
I have a question, if anybody remembers what the cost
It's a good
of the
question.
asphalt per ton was
I had
last year?
I had to clarify with our finance officer. Our mill and grind was at at $2 a square foot, which is the same bid submitted this year. And the,
The tonnage was at 151 per ton.
151?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay, now it's 174.
64.
Okay, 64, thank you.
good
Okay,
questions.
thank you.
Other questions, council?
Are we bound to that much? We didn't budget that much, did we?
You are correct. So the budget is at 600,000, which Public Works Director was planning on having that conversation with you, but due to weather is unable to be here. So your bid specs actually say approximate. So we can, because it came in that high, remove some
square.
tonnage or footage if you
Okay.
need to, or if you guys agree to something else later on, you can do that too.
Or he can work it into his budget, if he keeps it under what you've appropriated.
Yep.
But you're free to table also, that is an out.
If we're not
option,
bound to it, I'm fine.
council. Okay, okay.
No, your bid specs are very specific, that it's an approximate amount based upon the bid.
Good.
Any other comments or questions, council? Hearing none, Chair will call the question by a roll call vote. Councilman Schramm,
Aye.
Councilman Clunt,
Yes.
Councilman Hockett,
Aye.
Councilman Sprinkle,
Yes.
and Councilman Clay.
Yes.
The ayes have it, and this motion will pass unanimously 5-0. Yeah. Item number 9, no bids were received, no action needed on item number 9. We'll move on to item number 10. Council, having had time to review your packets and the bid opening recommendations, is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to table.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Councilman Clay has made a motion to table item number 10. That motion was seconded by Councilman Hockett. All in favor of tabling, would you please say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it, and this motion carries unanimously 5-0 to table item number 10.
Mr. Mayor, may I just ask a question?
Yes, please.
When's the last time that we had fewer than 140 inmates in our jail?
I'm going to defer that question to Public Safety Commissioner Day.
It would have been before
COVID.
the completion of the latest edition and possibly right when COVID hit.
2 to 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
So now, once everything has been opened and, yeah, we've ran it, that's, yeah, some of those lower numbers are not going to
I just
be
wanted
an
to make
issue.
sure that we knew that number.
Are there any other questions,
Just,
Councilman Klein?
just because
Please.
I didn't have time to really look at it. We had some submitted, but why are we tabling? Or-
There's a lot of information there, and in order to make sure that they really had an opportunity to do their due diligence, some of which is just verifying some things as well.
Okay.
As soon as we had the bid opening, we have literally spent the last 4 hours, but that one binder was about that thick, so we are pouring through everything
I agree
to make
with
sure
Taylor.
that.
Yeah, I'm fine
Yeah.
with it, I just didn't.
Yeah, there was just a
The key
lot of
ingredient
information
was
we're sorting
The
through.
bid structure was the fewer inmates, the higher the price.
Yes,
That's why I had my question, so that the committee could consider that when they're looking at it.
Very good. That will be one of the items next Thursday. in
Correct.
Committee that will definitely have to be considered by committee. City of Winter will move on to item number 11. Council, is there a motion on item number 11?
Make a motion to allow the destruction of the attached list of documents, which reached a maturity date, I'm sure. Is that 4 years that you're required to hang on to those records?
4 years plus the previous year, so 5
5
total.
years, okay, yep.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Councilman Hockett has made a motion to approve the destruction of the South Dakota retention manuals in the
Not the
attached.
manual.
Not the manuals, but the list of the documents, to clarify.
We don't have that authority.
Right,
Documents, you should have some.
the documents. And Councilman Sprinkle has graciously seconded that one. The floor is open to comments or questions.
If I may explain for the new council members. So we have a big book that comes directly from the South Dakota Retention Company, and ultimately, it tells us how long to keep things. Emails, we're required to keep for 2 years. Any correspondence, we're required to keep for 2 years, then we can destroy. That's one of those that is not required for you guys to motion on. But when it comes to public information, then you guys are required to motion to destroy it. That way, the public has the knowledge that we are destroying it at that time. So it happens every year about this time, as I've run out of room to keep things. So you'll see it annually.
And none of that is material to any sort of
Correct.
litigation.
If there was anything like that, there would have been a request made or an order entered to specifically
Maintain that
maintain specific
Yes.
items, yes.
Anything legal, we're required to keep for the lifetime of the city of Winter. And my annual reports and my annual closeouts, financial documents, those I'm required to keep for the lifetime of the city. Not all in there, because there was a fire once upon a time that just destroyed some stuff, and a flood.
They can be quite helpful.
Oh, yeah. I actually love going back and looking at it.
I tend to call those fortuitous events.
Bradley, I don't know.
Any other comments or questions, council? Hearing none. Chair will call the question by a roll call vote. Councilman Klein. Councilman Klein.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I thought you said Clay.
No, Klein, I'm sorry. Councilman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Sprinkle.
Yes.
Councilman
Yes.
Clay. And Councilman Shrimp.
All right.
The ayes have it, and the motion will pass unanimously 5-0. Item number 12, under new business, council, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to surplus the attached list of electronic devices at a value of less than $500 each to be sold as a first-come, first-serve, available Tuesday.
I just made the list available to you today. Sorry.
That must be next Tuesday.
I thought you meant the devices were available
Oh.
Tuesday.
They're available.
The list is available.
Today is Tuesday.
Is there a second to the motion?
In the absence of Councilman Burns, I would second his motion.
Thank you. Councilman Kalenta has made a motion to surplus the attached list of electronic devices at a value of less than $500 each to be sold. That is a first-come, first-served basis. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Schramm. Floor is still open to comment.
So there is one item on here that will not actually be sold, and that is an old PC that came out of our server room. That will actually be destroyed. No one will be able to purchase that. We'll destroy it so that no information can be leaked. It has been wiped, but apparently you can go back in and find things.
Absolutely.
The rest of it, a lot of it is
What was that you
phones.
just said? Which item?
PC is the third from the bottom.
Oh,
It does
PC.
say need to
Okay.
be destroyed next to it.
Thank you.
The majority of them are cell phones and then those old iPads that we received back from Sioux Falls Federal probation that literally did us no good, but that's fine, we didn't pay anything for them, so. As this list is available, it'll be posted on the front door. Anyone can come in and purchase them at that time. They're all in used condition.
Except
Cell
for
phone
council.
for you, Joe.
Can council purchase these
They
or not,
cannot.
Mr. Jensen?
No,
Okay. And then, in that case, neither could appointees.
Council and appointees cannot. Any other questions, council? To clarify, Councilman Clay,
just stop and think.
I did too.
your spouse may,
No, thank you.
you may not.
Never buy this.
All right. Chair will call the question by a roll call vote. Councilman Hockett,
Aye.
Councilman Sprinkle,
Yes.
Councilman Clay,
Yes.
Councilman Schramm,
Aye.
and Councilman Clunt.
Yes.
The ayes have it, and the motion will carry unanimously 5-0. Item 13. Council, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the renewal contract with Idemia.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that motion.
Councilman Clunt has made a motion to approve the renewal contract with Idemia. That is our fingerprinting machine at the law enforcement center, the electronic one. That Councilman Hockett has seconded the motion. Floor is open to comments or questions. Hearing none, Chair will call the question by the roll call vote of Councilman Sprinkle,
Yes.
Councilman Clay,
Yes.
Councilman Schramm,
Aye.
Councilman Clunt,
Yes.
and Councilman Hockett.
Aye.
The ayes have it, and the motion will carry unanimously 5-0. Final item under new business, council. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to pay the claims.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Councilman Clunt has made a motion to pay the claims for the city of Winter. Councilman Sprinkle has seconded the motion.
I said it quietly.
Floor is open to comments, questions.
Councilman Clinton and Councilman Sprinkle, does that motion include the donation to Tripp County Library of $12,500?
Yes.
Very good. The motion is to pay the claims for the city of Winter as presented, including additionally $12,500 to Tripp County Library. And Councilman Sprinkle has seconded that motion. Floor is open to comments or questions.
What vehicle does the airport own?
It was a tractor.
Okay.
What do we have done to the S10 pickup that costs $957?
Who's it to?
Hughes Brothers?
Jail pickup, I think.
Was it a
Engine
jail
blew
one or
off.
is it ours?
You want to get an engine from there?
Mint?
I thought maybe the engine had blown up.
Maybe they finally got a back window put in it.
Hopefully it wasn't that much.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that bad.
S10 pickup U-joint and flex plate, and it was the jail's S10.
Pull the tranny out.
$900?
The flywheel, remove and replace,
Okay.
was $630 by itself.
Very good.
Would running in four-wheel drive at a high rate of speed take that out?
It's only a two-wheel drive.
Well, it's just.
The news is it's worth $900 now.
You might want to monitor that one. It's not a $1,000 pickup, is it? It is now.
It is now.
Yeah, I would keep an eye on that. Let's not put a lot more money in it.
Every day.
Sandra, the total claims would be then with the library, 12,000, or 114,552.96.
So then you also have to add in the 165, so it'd be 267,827 plus 12,500.
Oh, okay.
But I think we also have a duplication because the ones that were donated that went last meeting are
So
also listed here
it
on
doesn't,
these.
you guys, and I apologize because I wasn't here, but ultimately your motion to pay the claims last week, 2 weeks ago, did not include those.
Did
So now
not,
I have to
okay.
list them on your claims
Okay.
this week.
Thank you.
I'm not debating the need for the vehicle, but there's that definition of spending good money after bad. When you spend more money than the vehicle's worth.
We can't replace that pickup for that cost for what it does, so that's.
Okay.
Planning and zoning has a nice pickup.
Should trade.
Sorry.
That's
You know, sometimes it might not be worth anything to anybody else, but it sure serves its purpose for us,
Yeah.
instead of a $50,000 pickup.
Make a motion to
There's good.
enter executive
Oh,
session.
wait, I have to call the question.
Oh, yeah.
If all questions and comments are done, Chair will call the question. All those in favor of paying the claims for the city of Winter as presented, including now the $12,500 donation to Tripp County Library, would you please say aye?
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it, and this motion carries unanimously 5-0. For the public, the city of Winter tonight will have 2 executive sessions. The live stream will be terminated. We will thank the public for coming tonight, always, and we'll take a 5-minute break before we come in and move into executive session. Sounds good.